am here on the Theo Wanne stand with the main man, Theo Wanne himself. All right, and Theo has a whole range of new mouthpieces beautifully laid out in front of us here, and a little pamphlet to explain some of these changes. We've just sat down and had a bit of a sort of chinwag about all this. And Theo, if you can maybe briefly explain what you've changed in terms of the Ambika, the Gaia, the Durga, and the Shiva. These are further revisions from the previous model, so the numbers have gone up one, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so today's actually a pretty momentous day for me because we're releasing a whole range that I've been working on for a really long time, right? So there's some pretty major innovations and jumps in here, and we've been proving them out with our endorsers for a little while now, so I've got a degree of confidence. Makes me very excited.
Good stuff.
All right, so starting off here, the Ambika. So the Ambika 3, it's still got that hauntingly dark sound, but it's using some of the technology. You'll see the shark gill baffle that's like on the Gaia 3
that we've seen so far.
that we've seen, yeah. And it's just got even more dynamics and flexibility to the tone, so you can really get into that vintage vibe.
You find with the shark gill baffle that the air just gets drawn through the mouthpiece quicker.
Yeah, and it works in a way where it doesn't necessarily go faster. It allows the air to fill up the mouthpiece more, so hence it feels easier, but what you end up with is more dynamics. Because let's say without the shark gill you can go, with the shark gill you can go, right? So that gives you more dynamic range and expressive ability, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I love about that. And if you're just playing it at the same rate, yes, it feels a little more free-blowing at the same time.
Yeah, that can be the effect. But
Yes.
But
yes.
no, absolutely by your description there, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it really worked for me on the Gaia 3, so bring it into the Ambika. I've not tried this yet, but
Yeah.
I'm really curious now.
Yeah, I love it. I love that kind of vintage sound. You know, I mean, I got started all with the whole Dexter Zootsims kind of vibe, right? So I'm very excited by this particular mouthpiece because it's more of what that vintage sound I love.
Yeah, I know that's the sound you hark after.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the other beautiful mouthpieces you make, that's where it's at for you, right? The Dexter
For me, yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, and so the hard rubber is very interesting because you'll see it's a very thin body, very similar to the metal one. Now, the beak is still wide. You can still see it's got a wider beak, so the feel won't be different in your mouth from a hard rubber, right? But the narrower body lets it vibrate more, and again, it feels more that vibration and expression can come through.
Yeah, you feel the resonance.
You feel the resonance, yeah, which gives you more to play with. If that makes sense, I hope.
It does, and then this is going to suit those metal players who love the feel of the metal, the slimmer mouthpiece.
Yeah.
They don't like that big, kind of chunky, fat feel that you get from those traditional heavyweight hard rubber mouthpieces.
That's right.
So they're getting kind of the best of both worlds.
You are getting the best of both worlds. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I'm really happy. It took me a while to decide to do that because I experimented a lot through, refacing. I've been doing that forever, right? Yeah, feels like forever. I'm old.
I'm sure it does feel like that for you. So moving on to the next batch of mouthpieces, we've got the Gaia 3 here on alto.
Right. So the Gaia 3 on alto is a very similar shift from the Gaia 2 to the Gaia 3 on tenor, right? It's an equally big leap. So the Gaia 3 on alto it's dark for the vintage, the vintage Meyer school of sound, but it's just got so much more now. So included in that is, you can see the shark gill baffle again.
Yep.
Yeah. And the shape of the baffle and throat and chamber has all been radically changed, right? So it's a very clear, clean, easygoing mouthpiece that's fat. Just vintage fat.
That sounds like a great combination of factors.
Yeah. So my goal is to have, like, if you love like that big full-bodied tenor sound, well, now you can have it on alto, right?
Which I think is sorely needed on alto because it's so easy just to get that whiny sound, particularly when you go up into the palm key registers.
Yeah.
So hopefully you kind of say goodbye to that to an extent.
Absolutely. I used to just not play alto very much.
Yeah, for fear of that happening, right?
Yes, exactly. Now, I actually play more alto than tenor, and I'm using this mouthpiece.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great advertisement for that
I hope you have
mouthpiece.
the same experience I do.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I hope so.
We're going to be trying this one. Great.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so next up.
Oh, and the Gaia 3 for soprano is coming.
Yes.
But not done yet.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It's got to be stellar, or I'm not releasing.
Okay. Watch this space. Fantastic. And now we're moving on to we've got
Durga.
Yeah, we've got 4. No, in fact, we've got 3 Durga 4s there, and there's an Ambika mixed in there.
Oh, is there?
That's an accident.
That's an accident.
We can remove that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
So
should be down here.
the Durga 4. Tell me about this one.
Oh, because the Durga 4 is right here with Mr. Paul Perez.
Paul Perez, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, the legend.
Well, I'm a high baffle guy, and for those of us that play high baffles, we have a tough time trying to find something that'll blow the low notes with that lush sound in the large chamber with a baffle. We've been sticking putty and links and that kind of a thing, but the Durga 4 so far has got to be the closest to having both worlds combined into one, where I can play luscious so if I need to do that, it's there, but sometimes I need this.
Whoa.
We'll also do that. So if you're into the, I had the great opportunity to perform with Tower of Power, and if you listen to them, this kind of thing. Not everything will do that, and the Durga 4 will do it and have a great tone. I mean, that's the hard part, is having something that has a nice full-bodied tone and doesn't start to sound like an alto up that high. So this really is the best of both worlds. So
that sounded amazing. You're just bringing me back to my youth, listening to those Tower of Power recordings there. That last clip that you played there. What was that from? What Tower of Power piece was that?
That was from So Much Oil in the Ground.
That was it. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, Lenny Pickett. We all know a lot about altissimo. We all learn the fingerings, and most of us learn the extra octave on top of the standard fingerings. But you're putting another octave on there, maybe more.
Right.
And this looks like a perfect segue into your new book.
Give me a plug there, Paul.
This is a little plug for your book. But can you briefly tell us something about what you're doing to bring out those techniques in
Sure.
getting that extra octave up
Well, my life changed when I got the gig with Tower of Power, and I got the great privilege of doing the record with Lenny Pickett as guest artist. So I talked to him about how he was doing all of that stuff, because he seemed to have a technique that made them really big. And when you blow altissimo, you're using the top third of the horn, but his seemed to come out so big and open. So he taught me the theory that he uses to do that, and I went home immediately and tried to see if I could figure it out. And I discovered a few things: the right reed, the right mouthpiece. A mouthpiece with the baffle helps, airspeed helps, and the proper horn. It just seems like the bore of a Mark VI, whatever that tighter bore is, facilitates the airspeed you need. So it was a combination of putting all of that together, and it's really, Lenny Pickett is the king. And,
Absolutely.
And so we talked about it, and it works. And so I've written it down in this book called Playing in the Attic.
Okay.
And you can go to my website, playingintheattic.us, and they're for sale. They're on sale there.
That's really interesting. I'm going to check that out. I mean, I never sort of put so much of, in my head previously, my notion was that it was so much about the techniques. Obviously, you need to have the right technique. It's not just a case of putting down a fingering and blowing. You need to have the right throat position and all the rest of it. But I never really thought about the bore shape of the instrument and all these little details within the gear as being fundamental to producing those super high notes as well.
Right. Well, it's all about air bulk and air speed. And for the high notes, you need speed. So mouthpieces that have straight sidewalls and a baffle, certain characteristics help the air speed through.
Yeah.
But that's what's amazing about the Durga 4 is that it has the fat sound. Like a lot of guys want that link quality, but once you put a baffle in it, you lose that. And this is the best combination of the baffle and the punch that you need, but then that big fat sound that you
It really is doing it all, as you just demonstrated there.
Yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
So, and it, sometimes you get one and the other is weak. You get the other, and now the low notes are weak. But as you can hear, this has got the whole package. And not everybody wants to go as high as I'm going. That's pretty extreme.
But it is possible to do, as demonstrated there. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. That's incredible. It's been a pleasure. Listen, thanks for joining in with this video.
Thank you.
Fantastic stuff. And thank you, Theo. Back to the main man here. Let's do lots of handshakes. There we go. Nice one.
You guys, a special one.
All right, there we go.
Slide and bump, and then.
I'm not cool enough for that. There we go. That's Theo Wanne. I forgot. We missed out the Shivas. So back to this line of mouthpieces. Theo, take us through the Shivas, please.
Okay. Actually, I never shared about the Durgas.
What did we say? We just said there's Durgas, and then you went right. Okay,
Yeah.
All right. I'll start again.
So
right.
back to the Durgas.
Yeah. Okay. So after that little interruption there, back to business and back to the Durgas.
Yes.
Theo, tell us about the Durgas.
So what Paul was saying was a very good description. The Durgas are very similar in sound signature to the Durga 3. So they're not a huge departure. They just do everything a little bit better. So they're a little fuller, little better altissimo, little better core to the sound, and you can subtone more. So it's just the same concept refined, right? It's, not as big of a jump like the Gaia or the Shiva. Right. So Shiva, pretty big jump here. The Shiva alto is, I'm really excited about it because I'm always trying to make what's the most powerful. Like let's make the glass shatter, but still be full-bodied and beautiful in its power, right? That's now the Gaia 3. I mean the Shiva 3, right? So there's more baffle on the Shiva 3 alto, yet it's still got more body to the sound than the Shiva 2. So it's just. Can I say balls to the wall? It's
yes, you certainly can.
Yeah, okay, balls to the wall. As our sign says over there, right? Ultra badass.
That's brilliant. Because the fear can be with these ultra high baffle mouthpieces that it's just the nails down the blackboard,
That's right.
which you've avoided here, and
Exactly.
you've told me about it. And when we were sat down there a moment ago, some great players came and said, "This is the mouthpiece. This is brilliant." And you've really got me curious now, because I have a fear of very high baffle mouthpieces. When I just hit those top notes, it's all going to go horribly wrong. But apparently not with these guys.
Yeah, no, it's just body. So it's like, all I can say is it makes other mouthpieces just sound kind of like this. Kind of like, I'm not really there. It's just, there's so much presence.
Presence is a good
Yeah,
word.
it went to presence, not brightness. So it's got presence. Yeah, it would be the Shiva 3. And the tenor is Not as big a shift as the alto, but still that same thing. More presence and body and core to the sound, even less whininess. Yeah, but actually brighter, actually louder. Yeah.
All the things you're looking for. This is amazing. There's so much to comprehend here. I mean, we've got 4 batches of changes going on here, and this is all going to wind through to our store in the coming month, 2 months as they filter through. So a lot for you guys to get your teeth stuck into, and me with my reviews. Look out for a review when I'm going to be trying 2s against 3s, 3s against 4s. There's a lot of exciting stuff to come. For the second time, Theo, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
You too.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.